questions on the Columbian exchange, and you are looking at this graph. So this is a graph to show population across the 13 through 1700s. So the population is going up here. So 25 million, 50 million, 75 million. So this is how many millions of people were in these different areas of the world. So black for India, pink for China, purple for Africa, green for Europe, and orange for the Americas. So our starting point, we're going to see that in 1300, here's the starting point of our populations in the various places. So for example, in the Americas, the population was a little over 25 million people. In Africa, it was in between 50 and 75 million people. In China, we're a little bit above 75 million. In India, we're around 100 million people. In Europe, we're under 75 million. So 1300, this is when the two hemispheres have yet to meet. The Inca and Aztec are just starting to come to power in the 1300s. The Black Plague is about to hit, right? It has yet to hit. And then we can see right around 1400 that the population had been going down in Europe and in China and in India and a little bit in Africa too. That's the Black Plague, right? We don't actually see that here in the Americas because they were not trading with Eurasia or Africa at the time. So they have this kind of steady population. And then we know that by 1492, that's when the Europeans show up in the Americas. And this, at this point, around 1500, is where we begin to see the Columbian exchange. We begin to see the exchange of plants and animals onto the different hemispheres. So we get things like potatoes and tomatoes going to Europe and Africa and China and India. And we get things like pigs and cows coming to the Americas. So as you can see, after the Columbian exchange starts, we begin to see the population increase in places like Europe, in places like China, Africa, and India. And that is due to the more varied diet that they get. We also see that the population starts to severely decrease in the Americas. And that has to do with the diseases that were brought across the Atlantic Ocean by the Europeans. So during the Columbian exchange, although many good things were traded, like crops or fruits and vegetables and animals, diseases were also spread that heavily impacted the Americas. And you can see that the increase in a varied diet continues to grow the population in places like India, China, and Europe. Right around 1600, we also begin to see the African population decrease. And we can see that this decrease starts right around when Americas is at their lowest population. And this has to do with the fact that once the Native Americans start to die off in such high numbers, places like Europe begin to trade for slaves from Africa and bring them to the American colonies.